Well, joining me now is LNP MP Gath Hamilton. Garth, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Anthony Albanese has written an opinion piece in today's SMH. He's marking 125 years since Federation. There are a few things within this opinion piece that stood out for me. He wrote in there that when the time came to design a coat of arms for our new federation, they didn't use the platypus, but instead opted for two other iconic animals unique to our continent, which was the kangaroo and the emu. Neither of them go backwards, they only move forward, just like Australia. And I read that and I thought, he really seems to be doing everything to make Australia go backwards. So I was very unsure why he was promoting about us moving forwards using those animals.
Well, by any measure, we are going backwards, but what an awful piece it was. I mean, I'd say it was AI slop, but it's worse than that. I think he actually wrote it. It's absolutely terrible. He's missing all of the big issues that are affecting Australians. The increased immigration levels we've seen that have impacted our housing, the energy bills that continue to go up after his government promised that they would go down by $275. No mention of any of that. No mention of the pain we're feeling. Just this undergraduate, almost year 10 level essay that he's put together in a desperate attempt to divert our attention away from his inept handling of the Bondi massacre.
Mm. And I must say, when you just were talking about that 275 power bill reduction, which was almost used on repeat when they were talking about it, there's no mention anymore about the fact that power prices are going through the roof. It's almost just a, oh no, we're not going to talk about that anymore. Let's just move on. Stop reminding us that that's what we said. It's almost like we frustrate them when we try and bring to light some of the things that they said back in the day that aren't coming to fruition.
Well, Mr. Albanese and his government are relying upon the Australian people playing this game of pretend with him. We did it, unfortunately, during 2025. We pretended everything was okay. When Mr. Bowen told us that energy prices were going down, we all pretended. We all said, oh, okay. When Mr. Albanese told us that immigration wasn't impacting housing availability, the media all pretended that was the case. I think 2026 is going to be the year where we stop pretending and we call Mr. Albanese out. And on these big issues, he's going to be found wanting.
And one of these big issues, Garth, is this Bondi massacre and calls for a royal commission. We've now seen the former army chief has joined into the calls. Do you think Albanese will actually start to listen and launch this royal commission? He's got people coming from all different angles and he's just being so stubborn about launching one.
Mr. Albanese had the opportunity to lead on this issue. And if he had, I would have been one of the first behind him. This was an opportunity that Australia looked to its Prime Minister to lead us, and he chose not to do that. But there is one group of Australians that he will listen to, and that's the 17 new Labor MPs who came in at the last election. Nobody wants to be a one-term politician, I can assure you. And they've just spent Christmas listening to their electorates tell them they are wrong, tell them that they want a royal commission, tell them they are upset. Mr. Albanese is handling this issue terribly. They are the ones who are going to be putting pressure on Mr. Albanese, and they're the only people he's going to listen to because he's going to need their support to continue in his role.
Yeah, you're spot on there, because I think at times when the Prime Minister has been avoiding these calls for the Royal Commission, he's putting political reasons instead of national interests first. Is he failing to treat this massacre as a national tragedy by not calling one?
You've just called it out exactly as it is. He's treating the Bondi massacre, sadly, as a political issue and not an issue of safety or national security, which he should be. He's made this a political issue and he's digging his heels in. And this is a Prime Minister who has called for every single royal commission that has gone by in the past. And many of them been justified calls. But on this one, on this particular issue, he's choosing to make it a political issue. And I think we all know why. We know why. Labor have made a political stance on the basis of immigration, on the basis of religion. They have made that stance and they know that this is going to hurt them.
Well, Garth, there was an extremely concerning report in The Australian that National Imams Council attempted to stop Israel's President Isaac Herzog from visiting the site of Bondi's terror attack. Now, first of all, when I was reading that, I just thought, what right do they have to dictate who does and doesn't come into this country?
Well, the reason that rubbed with you and it rubs with many Australians is that a long, long time ago in the West, we separated church and state. We made that separation for the benefit of all citizens, and we've been very successful at making that separation. I would ask you to consider any situation where the Catholic Church or any other church would make a similar request. I think this is an extraordinary step from the Imams Council. I think it's a demonstration that we potentially have an issue broader than just radical Islam in Australia. I think that mainstream Islam really needs to consider why we separate church and state and why we've done so for so many years and why our civilization is so much better for having done so.
And I think as well, the timing of this is just beyond shameful. Should the Prime Minister call this out, and then that would further highlight that he does support the Jewish community?
Well, a leader of some conviction would say some of the words that I just said to you, to them, and point out to them that they've made a strong mistake. He could do it privately and give them that counsel, or he could do it publicly. I don't care. Either way, that's what the Prime Minister should do to lead this country, all Australians, every Australian, through this very, very difficult period.
Garth, there was a remarkable story in today's news. A British hacker has won an Australian visa by infiltrating one of the government's websites. Can you tell us a little bit about this and how on earth it's possible?
Look, I'm in the dark as most people are on this. This is an extraordinary story. I mean, the comical side of it is, wow, what a great way to get a job. But the other part, goodness me, our systems are that vulnerable. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be vulnerabilities there to be exploited. But for this to happen so publicly, I think there's a concern here that it sends a message around the world, around the nature of our systems, that is really troubling. Whether they're vulnerable or not, sending that message, goodness me, it's not what we should be sending to the world.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to ask you. Do you think this will now send off more copycats of this nature who can see that it's quite easy to hack our systems and a way of getting a visa?
Well, it does seem like this is setting up a flare, doesn't it? And alerting people that there are vulnerabilities here to be exploited. One would really hope that that's not the case. There is another issue here that I think is important. It probably does show, I know it's a weird way of showing it, the importance of getting the right skilled people through migration. This is probably one of the cases where this is someone we really need.
Yeah.
To tell us what those vulnerabilities are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Well, Garth, thank you so much for your time tonight. We'll speak to you again soon.